I think out of the drivers that came into NASCAR in the 2000s, Matt Kenseth is the one that gets easily overlooked. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the son of a legend. Ryan Newman was winning poles every week. Jimmy Johnson was winning championships every year. Kyle and Kurt Busch was rageaholics. And Casey Kane was known as this ladies' man. Then there's Matt Kenseth, who just lurks in the shadows. This dude has 39 career wins and a championship, mind you. When it comes to his championship, people don't talk about how incredibly consistent he was, but instead talk about how he killed the season-long championship format when he won that championship that NASCAR had in place at that time. When Matt was supposed to retire the first time, he got overshadowed by Dale Earnhardt Jr. doing pre-race and post-race during their final race. The media surrounded Jr.'s car, meanwhile nobody was around Matt's. They did Matt dirty as hell, man. Dale Jr. is my driver, but Matt deserved the same amount of attention as Dale Jr. How you fail to acknowledge someone that has 39 career wins and a championship? Like, damn. Matt Kenseth also didn't make headlines by getting into confrontation with drivers. Okay, he did get into it with some drivers, but if you pay attention, Matt Kenseth was the one that was always getting pushed around, literally. Tony Stewart knocked him off the track in the 2006 Daytona 500, and then some weeks later, Jeff Gordon shoved the shit out of Matt Kenseth after a Bristol incident between the two of them. And then later on in the season, Jeff Gordon dumped Matt Kenseth at Chicagoland, and you could bet your ass that was payback from Bristol. And then in 2007, Carl Edwards punked Matt Kenseth after a race at Martinsville. And after all of that, Matt Kenseth didn't talk shit in the interview towards those drivers, and for the most part didn't retaliate on the track, but would just go on about his business and just try to beat his opponents on the track going forward. That was just the way that Matt Kenseth went about things. That was until later in his career. Yeah, that was Matt Kenseth attacking Brad Keselowski, something that's totally out of character when it comes to Matt Kenseth. Speaking of that, let's get into the first unusual act from Matt Kenseth. Matt's WWE backstage-like attack on Brad Keselowski. It seemed like in 2014, it was Brad Keselowski versus everyone. Half of the damn field got into it with this dude, and even though I've always been a fan of Brad, he deserved it for the most part because he drove a little over his head during that season. Everyone wanted to whoop this dude's ass, and Matt Kenseth was one of them. Brad Keselowski managed to piss off 3 drivers in one night in the 2014 Fall Charlotte race. It seemed like it was going to be him versus Denny only, and then on the cool down lap, on the way back to pit road, Brad just door slammed Matt Kenseth. Then he runs to the back of Tony Stewart, who quickly paid him back, which wasn't a surprise. It's smoke after all. Then Denny versus Brad continues, and then the NASCAR officials grabbed Denny, calmed him down. Crew members all over the damn place, and it seemed like it was over.
But wait, there's more. Hang on to your seat, baby.
This boy Keselowski was trying to get out of there on the low. The NASCAR officials had Denny, but boy, Matt Kenseth was loose as a junkyard dog. Yo, I remember watching this live, and when this shit happened, I was crying, laughing. Like, this looks so staged. It looked like something you'll see in WWE doing a backstage attack. The camera's on Brad, and then all of a sudden, here comes Matt Kenseth out of nowhere. You can't tell me this doesn't look like a WWE backstage attack. I would have expected this from anyone else, but the fact it was Matt Kenseth who did this just makes this even more hilarious. And you would think Matt Kenseth wouldn't do anything crazy like this again, but nope. The very next year, Matt Kenseth did something that was even more controversial and that was even more out of character. He would feud with another Penske driver, Joey Logano. The Penske duo of Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano was so hated between the years of 2014 to about 2016, from the fans and the drivers. Like Brad in 2014, Joey Logano drives over his head a lot, and what makes it even worse that he would get out the car and act like he never did anything wrong. That's why it was kind of funny to see him get doored by Chase Elliott in the 2020 spring Bristol race, where Elliott just said fuck it and just sent it. Then wants an apology from Chase, even though Logano has been guilty in the past of doing the same thing and not apologizing for his actions. The shoe was on the other foot and Logano got a taste of his own medicine. Yeah, you could tell that I'm not much of a fan of Logano. Anyway, Joey took things a little too far in the 2015 fall Kansas race. Him and Matt Kenseth were battling for the win, and Joey did have the faster car. Matt Kenseth kind of threw a block on Joey on the tri-oval, and Logano ended up kissing the wall and then proceeded to dump Matt Kenseth going into turn 1. Logano went on to win the race, and Matt Kenseth was obviously pissed. Would have been funny to see him pull another sneak attack, but that didn't happen this time. This feud would then carry over to Talladega the next week, where Logano hops right in front of Kenseth coming on the pit road, catching Matt Kenseth off guard. Kenseth wanted to beat Logano's ass then. Kenseth once again kind of kept his cool. Then we get to Martinsville. This race was Matt Kenseth versus the Penske boys. The Penske drivers was letting each other in on the restarts, basically playing games throughout the race on the restarts. There was one restart where Brad and Kenseth got together, which led to Kenseth getting the worst of it, sending him to the garage. But we know he wasn't there for the rest of the day. You knew Kenseth had to be fuming after 3 straight weeks of being done dirty. 2 of those incidents happened with Logano. Now Brad's the one that got into it with Kenseth, so you would think he would go after Brad, but instead it would be Logano. I think Kenseth was so done with Penske as a whole at this point and went after the dominant Penske car, which was Logano, who seemed to be on his way to victory easily. If he wins that Martinsville race, he punches his ticket to Homestead for a spot in the Final 4. Well, Matt Kenseth said, fuck that, you ain't competing for a title this year.
And Kenseth cleared by Logano, maybe no! Kenseth takes him out! Logano into the wall! Caution comes out and the crowd roars! Helmets coming off of the crew members of the 20. And we have to remind you why this is happening.
Joey, stay in the car.
A couple races ago at Kansas, Matt Kenseth was leading. Joey Logano running second. You can tell how the fans feel about it.
I couldn't believe what I saw when this took place. I was losing my mind and shocked just like all the fans. Matt Kenseth just straight up dumped Logano. What's funny is that Matt Kenseth came over the radio and acted like something broke when, dude, we know you kept your foot in it. Matt Kenseth didn't get suspended by NASCAR because of that incident, and it's hilarious because hearing Matt Kenseth and suspended in the same sentence just doesn't sound right. I don't know what got into Matt Kenseth during this point of his career. I guess you can simply say that he got tired of putting up with people's shit. For so long, we seen Matt Kenseth get pushed around and he wouldn't do anything or say anything back for the most part. But in 2014 and 2015, he finally had enough. It's so out of character because, like stated before, Matt Kenseth is a guy that usually lurks in the shadows. He's usually not the center of attention outside of winning races and championships. He usually tries to avoid things like that. Unfortunately, some people lost respect for Matt Kenseth after these 2 incidents, especially the one in 2015. Me, personally, I didn't lose respect for Matt Kenseth. Sometimes you just have moments in life where you just aren't thinking and you proceed to do something in the heat of the moment. Everyone has a breaking point, I don't care who you are, and Matt Kenseth reached his in 2014 and 2015. You can always handle situations in a better way, and these 2 incidents were a few times where Matt Kenseth didn't. You gotta cut him some slack though. Just like all of us, Matt Kenseth is human. We all make mistakes. I gotta say though, for someone that's usually quiet and has a dry sense of humor, Matt Kenseth proceeded to have the 2 funniest incidents in NASCAR since I've been watching. Both of these incidents had me dying laughing, and because it's Matt Kenseth, it makes it that much funnier. 2 unusual acts from Matt Kenseth for sure. But hopefully Matt isn't mainly remembered for that, but for how great of a race car driver he was in NASCAR. So what's your thoughts on this? Did these incidents make you lose respect for Matt Kenseth? And what's your thoughts on Matt Kenseth in general? In my opinion, I feel like he never got the respect he deserved. He definitely should be respected more and should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But that's my thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and roll up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.